Afternoon. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for October 15th for the Harrison County Board of Education. At this time, we'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. We have a couple of special recognitions and presentations this evening. Our first item is Pam Knight, Secondary Assessment Data.
You'll just bear with me for just a couple minutes till this loads. We have.
Was that cable that I stepped on and unplugged, was that supposed to? No.
Says no signal.
Can only go so far. Okay. I'm a clicker.
We just had this one. Can you go ahead and start and I'll work with you?
Not really.
Since he asked.
Since he asked, not really.
We're having some technical difficulties at the moment.
Now you have to tell jokes.
No, I don't tell jokes. I might sing.
Now we know. Oh, we almost had it. Sorry, piece of work.
And you know what, while we are waiting at this point, I was gonna wait till after special recognitions and presentations. We had a tragedy at Lincoln High School this week, so I would like us all to take a moment of silence for Samuel Flint, for Lincoln High School senior. Thank you. Terrible situation.
Okay, good evening, board members and Superintendent Stutler. There are several pieces of data that Mrs. McKee and I would like to share with you this evening. And following our presentation, we're going to provide each of you with notebooks that have all of the middle school and high school information that we're going to be presenting. You'll have that in great detail that you can go through at your leisure. It's important to note, first of all, that for day-to-day, we felt it was important to include more than just results from our test scores. In order to improve our test scores, we have to begin by first looking at the whole child. Each principal received a notebook, and Mrs. McKee has a sample. This is the middle school. That's all the middle schools together. So they had quite a lot of data. And you'll see on the projector there that the information that they received included things like attendance, and that means the number of days that were missed by each student in the school. The discipline, how many students had discipline and how many referrals. There was a D and F list, and that included all the students who had a D or an F, especially at the end of the second semester. And then, of course, we had their ELA and their math scores from their summative assessment, whether that be the PSAT and school day SAT in high school, or the WBGSA for the middle schools. So the high schools also received, in addition to their school's information, they received the 8th grade student scores from their feeder areas, and the middle schools received the 5th grade scores. So they know or knew, looking at those students, ones who may need a little bit more help, and what their scores were in the various areas as they were leaving that one programmatic level and going to the next. The principals and the data teams had all of this information. And so in their teams, they could identify students that needed remediation, and they could provide extra support, targeting the areas of attendance, discipline, and the Ds and Fs, in addition to looking at ELA and math scores. I'd like to begin with the high schools' AP scores. You can see on the screen the number of AP students taking AP exams. The number at the top indicates the score that was received on the AP exam, and the chart showing the names of the AP subjects exams that were given. There were 572 total exams given to 349 students. Of the 572 exams, 323 students had scores of 3 or higher. As always, students receive their fee money back if they attain a 3 or higher on an AP exam. This year, we were able to return $35,729 to students for those exams. That's quite a lot of money, and that's quite a number of students that are scoring 3 or higher on those AP exams. Also in your notebook, you will find a 5-year AP score summary by school so that you can see how each school has progressed over the course of the last 5 years, with the number of AP students taking exams and the number of students with a 3 or higher for each individual school.
And we had a significantly higher number of tests this year, probably about 150 more than they had the prior year. So that was a significant jump in students taking the exams.
The next screen shows you the high school assessment proficiency percentages for ELA, math, and science from the balanced scorecard for each high school for grade 11. As you can see, ELA is an area of strength, and math is still one of our areas of weakness, and that's at all of the high school levels. In the middle school notebooks, you will have the middle school assessment proficiencies. There'll be one for the ELA in reading, there's one for math, and a separate one for science, and these are across all grade levels. Science is only for the 8th grade, the ELA and math is across all grade levels. ELA, again, you can see is a strength in the middle schools across all the grade levels. Math continues to be that area of weakness. But if you'll note, looking at the 6th grade in math, those 6th graders last year that are our current 7th graders performed at a higher level in math than what the other grade level students did. So we've got some movement forward, I believe, with that 7th grade group. We'll see when we test this year if they are continuing to improve. Included in your high school notebook, you will have math and ELA mean student score comparisons of the school year of 22-23 and 23-24. This covers your PSAT 8-9, PSAT 10, and school day SAT. Now, you have to keep in mind that as you're looking at that if you look in 23 and you look at PSAT 8-9, then if you want to see how those students did, you go down a row to PSAT 10 and over to 24. So you will see in some cases there was a lot of improvement, in some cases there was small, some cases, there may have been some decline. But overall, we have a pretty good picture of how our students are doing in that math and ELA with that comparison. You're going to have the same type of information for your middle schools. And this is their comparison. Now, their comparison is by percentages instead of, I'm sorry, not by percentages. It's based on this, yes, student percent meeting or exceeding standards. That's how they classify that, meeting or exceeding standards. So again, you can look at those sixth graders and how they did in 22, 23, then look at the seventh grade for 23, 24, and that's the sixth grade students for last year. So you can see there any improvement and gains across the board. School day SAT benchmarks and performance bands are the tools that teachers can use to move students from one performance band to the next higher band. Okay, and with each of these bands, you can see over on the one side, it has all the bands listed. So they have to be able to do everything in band 1, to be in band 2, to move to band 3, then to move to band 4. So those apply to PSAT 8-9, PSAT 10, and the school day SAT. Each of the sections is divided into four categories, and those are called the content domains, and that's where the assessment actually comes from. The types of questions that all come from those 4 domains that they have listed. If you have a student who had a reading or writing score of 450, they would fall into performance band number 3. So the teacher would then want to focus on making sure that they could do everything in performance band 3 and then start working on and introducing the skills for performance band 4. Sometimes it doesn't take much to move them just a little bit. So that was one of the things that they just need to look at and focus on. This is very easy for teachers to see. And they were provided with copies of that information on day-to-day, and the principals still have their notebooks that have all of this information should anybody desire it. So they have that for reading and for math. So you'll be able to look at that. In the front section of your notebook, you'll also find a skill and knowledge statement. And that's the one, that's the one that's over on the side where the performance bands are listed. That tells you all of the skills that they should be able to do for that particular band. And we don't want them just to stop at moving up to the 4th band or the 5th band. We want them to go as far as they can go. And teachers will be able to see that, and they can move those kids on accordingly. In your middle school notebook, you'll have a cross-sectional report. And this shows the comparison of the 22-23 school year scores to the 23-24. There is for each middle school a target level performance that's done by grade level. And that sheet is also broken down so that you can see that information by grade level. You're also going to find a target level performance. This is very beneficial for middle school teachers because it actually breaks the skills down by the CSO. And you see that some of those are highlighted in yellow, and those were the ones that when the testing information came out, those highlighted ones were ones that they felt students need more work on. So teachers already had something there to go on for their students in looking at those target levels. So each grade level has all that done, and we did the same thing for the mathematics. So they have that broken down by CSOs. So it's very easy to identify areas of weakness when you start looking at that information. You'll also have reading, writing, and math scores for each of the high schools for PSAT, 8, 9, 10, and school day SAT. They break those down by meets or exceeds standards, approaching, and not yet approaching. So what we did, and you have a copy similar to what the principals have. You do not have student names. Principals have the same information with student names attached. But this is just a sample of what we had. We took all of the exceeds, and we ranked them from highest to lowest. Okay, so all of their scores were ranked highest to lowest. So when you got down to the bottom, you knew where you could start with your next category because you sorted those the same way. So you'll see some of those are in red. And the reason those are in red is because those are ones that we thought here were area students that could easily move up into that next category. Some of them are just points away, 1 or 2 or 3 points away. And so that was what we wanted to give principals a kind of a target group to look at. Because if you have your Title I, your interventionist, so on and so forth, we did the same thing for middle schools. And that way they have something to go on. And they can look at those things and see, okay, how do these students need remediation? What do they need to be able to do in order to perform at that next higher level? And as they look at it, and as I looked at it as well, and you can do the same thing as you're looking through your notebooks. If you look, a student may score very well on the reading portion, and you're thinking, okay, well, why is this student in the not approaching or not yet approaching category? Well, it may be that they didn't do well on the writing portion for the middle schools. So then the teachers then can focus on the writing scores because it gave them the type of writing assignment or writing essay that they had to perform, whether it was an informational, whatever it was. So they know now if they didn't have a very high score there, they need to work on how that was presented. So you'll have that for high school and you'll have it for middle school. We really felt that it was beneficial to try and help the principals a little bit to say, okay, this is a group of students that you can have somebody working with right now. So that's the reason for the highlighting of that. The middle schools, those are broken down by exceed standards, meet standards, partially meet standards, and does not meet standards. So they have an extra category in there that the middle school does not have. And again, as we looked at some of those, and some of them, we would put at or above mastery. I would highlight it if they were in the meet standards. They might have been in the exceed standards in a category, and yet their score overall came down into the meets instead of being in the exceeds. Again, that could go back to that writing piece. So we tried to do whatever we could to make it easy for principals to help their teachers to see, here are some students we really need to focus on. And we've got to focus on those students. Do we have any questions so far? Okay. The next part is Mrs. McKee's part. And Mrs. McKee did a great job in trying to help us, or no, not trying to, helping us to put together some resources for teachers so that they didn't have to do quite as much legwork to get to the things that they could use for their students. So I'm going to let her explain to you what types of things she has put in Schoology that teachers have access to.
All right, so what we did is we created groups in Schoology for teachers, and we did an ELA for high school, an ELA for middle school, and we did a math one for high school. The reason we didn't do one for middle school is that they have the West Virginia Cambium portal, which is aligned strictly to the West Virginia GSA, and they can go into that and they can utilize that to get their resources, and it's very simple to go in there and do that at the middle school level. So as you can see on the screen, I also have a social studies one in there, sorry, but there are 3 different groups. They've been assigned to the teachers at the schools, so the teachers don't have to do anything. They all already know how to get into Schoology, and they all just click on groups up there and theirs should pop up. And in math, high school math, let me this to go. I put in PSAT, SAT tests that were taken from and released by College Board. Went in through, created individual questions, created question banks that the teachers can go in and pull from, put it into their Schoology program, or they can print them off. Use it for Ringer, assessments, exit slips, and they can do different things with it. They can edit it, and they can change it to however they want to. They can download it and keep it in their resources. So these are just some examples up there. In addition to that, we also had information provided by Bridgeport High School that we put in there, breaking it down into like the heart of algebra, the areas that are covered in the SAT and SAT. So you'll see some of those as you look through your book here as to what we have available for math teachers at the high school level. And this next screen is just another example. Whoops, sorry. Thumb's a little bit heavy there. This is really sensitive now. I want to go back. Okay. And that's just an example of kind of what the SAT is broken down into a couple examples of questions. And then for ELA, I did the same thing. Theirs is a little different. I'm still working on the SAT portion of this, the PSAT portion of it, because they changed their format somewhat. So I just am in the process of doing that right now for the ELA for the high school level on that one. But again, you can see we also started using this year, both at the middle school level and the high school level, the vocabulary workshop. The teachers, both reading and English language at the middle school, and the English teachers at the high school have these to use in the classroom set. We did create a PDF so that they can project it, make it easier to use, along with questions that go along with that. And if any of you want an example, I can add you as a member to these groups if you'd like access to them. Did the same thing with the, they can go in and edit it and change it and save it. So they can use it however they wish to use it. Did the same thing with the middle school. Thing with middle school is we had a little problem with our English program this year. One of the resources that is provided, that was bought when we adopted the ELA last time, they were having difficulty with it, so they sent me PDF formats that I could upload it to the Schoology for them to use. It was easy in one place for them to get on and use it. Okay, any questions on Schoology? If you guys want me to add you as members, just let me know. I can add you to those groups.
Okay, one thing with the school day SAT and the PSAT, because those are digital now, makes it a little more difficult to get copies of the questions. We used to be able to get those copies of the questions that were like from the previous year. You can't do that now. So you just see, and it just tells you this is where their weaknesses are, but it doesn't give you any idea of what a question looks like. And so we're kind of at their mercy.
Wasn't it depending upon when you took it?
That used to be, but you don't get them at all now.
Okay.
No.
When they went digital.
And they went digital, yeah. Yeah, and when they first came back to us, Mrs. McKee and I both sat there and we were looking to see, okay, where can we get the questions? And then it said no questions for digital. So we did the next best thing that we could, and we put in the resources that we could get from school, from SAT questions that we felt would be beneficial to them, especially when we could get it already broken down. So the last thing in all of your notebooks is the information from each school's data day. We gave them a form similar to this where they had to answer certain questions about each one of the areas: attendance, discipline, D's and F's, the ELA, and the math. So they had 5 areas to look at and 5 sets of questions to answer, leading to the development of their next steps. So each school, because each school is very different, all of their plans look a little different. They have to have ownership in what they're going to do. So they prepared their own plans, and then they handwrote them. So Mrs. Amy Webster did a beautiful job creating that into this format, and then they'll be given back to them so that they can do a data review and update that information probably sometime in January or February, and then we'll try to get it updated again at the end of the year. But we felt that this was valuable for them to be able to sit down and put it on paper. This is what we need to do. Here's who's going to be responsible. And then they had to give us a desired outcome. What do we want to have happen because of this? So as we looked over those, some of them were exceptionally well done. and others of them were very well done. The biggest problem is not everybody had a staff of math teachers and a staff of English teachers present. So those are the two critical areas. And in some cases, they may have had one math teacher and no English teacher, and everybody else could have been an elective teacher or a phys ed teacher, anybody who wanted to come. So that was what they had, but I thought they all did an excellent job of coming up with some ideas of things that they can do in their school. And again, it's about the whole child. Because if the child is struggling and they're making D's and F's, then let's explore why. Is it because of discipline? Is it because of attendance? You have to look at the whole thing. You can't just attack the scores. You have to look at the whole child and what's going on with each one as an individual. So that was what they were able to do. And to sum it all up, we hope that in the first of the year after January, we're going to be able to start providing some additional services and supports to all of our middle schools and high schools, especially to their math teachers, so that we can give them a little more preparation for those upcoming spring assessments and make sure that we have our students ready with the skills and knowledge that they need to be a little more successful. We'll take all the gains we can get, no matter how small. Any questions?
I have one. It's a little bit off topic, and I know it doesn't have to do with state testing, but are we also tracking seal of biliteracy students?
For our EL students,
No, we have English students that their first language is English that are getting the seal of biliteracy too.
I've not heard.
Okay, that's, they have to score so much on the, I can't remember what the numbers are right now, but they score so high on the ACT, SAT, which proved their English proficiency, and then they take what's called a stamp test to measure their world language proficiency, and we've had it in Spanish, French, Arabic, I think Urdu, but don't quote me, and maybe Hindu, but it proves that they're proficient in 2 languages. There's the seal of biliteracy, which is generally for high school level students and even some middle school students. And then they can also go on and try to take the global literacy, which is university level.
We'd like to get some more information from you on that and see if we can promote some of that.
Because they've been doing very well with that in the county too.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you. Look forward to seeing the book.
Another binder. Not just one binder, 2 binders.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. This brings us down to our next presentation, Mr. Corsini from Patrons of the Park. Thank you for being with us today.
Hey, no problem. I got up here in record time. Okay, I guess I'm here to answer any questions that you all may have.
Yeah, so we didn't get a whole lot of discussion on the last time you guys presented. Can you go into a little more detail about how this idea came to pass?
Yeah, sure.
Where you guys?
Well, Deb Varner, who was with me last week, approached our board. She's on the board as well, and said, in light of what happened down in Boone County with that middle school child dying and doing football practice, said, maybe this kind of is right up our bailiwick, right up our alley. What happened? Yours.
Sorry.
Good. Perhaps we should look into maybe buying some, these Guardian caps, for our high school football teams in the county, the five high schools. So I got on the phone and called Guardian. I was, as I said last week, I was amazed. I talked to their Mideastern rep, on the phone one day, said, hey, I'd like to maybe get a quote for 200. I had no idea how many high school football players that we had in the county. And so later that day, I got a quote back, and it came out to, I don't know, 12 grand, something like that. And so I said, I called him and I said, let me get an accurate count. So we went directly to the football coaches and said, hey, can you give us an idea of how many players that you have? We want to do this for every kid on each high school team. So the number came back relatively quickly after 2 to 3 days, and it was 240. So I got a hold of the rep again. I said, I need to up the number to 240. Those things run about $70 a piece. I did bring it up to show you guys last week, but yeah, I thought so. They run about $70 a piece, and so we were able to, I didn't have to negotiate. They gave us a $51 price per cap, which was a savings of about $4,000. So we ended up paying about $13,000. So I happened to be in Denver on business and was doing all this in between meetings. And so they said, well, how about a credit card? Well, our foundation doesn't have a credit card, so you can take ACH. So I worked that out with them. We paid it. That was on a Tuesday. I flew home on Wednesday. Thursday in my office, I got 20 boxes. I mean, these boxes were huge. 20 boxes of caps. And so, because Bird's on my way home, I called the coach and said, hey, can you meet me outside at, and I got these for you. So I met him out there, took a couple pictures, and then met with South Harrison, got South Harrison's coach. He also teaches at Bird, so I was able to do that in a couple. Long story short, we got by the game time on that Friday, everybody had their caps. And so, again, we had a little press. There was an article in the newspaper on that they saw it over the weekend. If we could just prevent one child from being hurt or, killed, then it's a win-win, I think, for everybody. And as I said in the paper, I would like to see the SSAC allow these kids to wear these during games if they choose. There's no disadvantage that I can see for them to be able to wear them. The NFL's allowed it. And I think maybe there's only one player in the NFL that I've seen on TV that is wearing those caps. But that's kind of how it came about. And as I said, our foundation that's some of what we like to do. We support a couple of local food banks. We do Kelly Miller and then Matt McCullough's food bank out at, what is it, Wilsonburg, I think? It was Northview, I think. Yeah, and we've helped WI Middle out. We just did in September, kind of piggybacked on, Cap's Tonsorium, the cuts hair over on Chestnut Street. He gave free haircuts to a bunch of kids, the school-age kids, and we kind of piggybacked on it and provided shoe vouchers for these kids. And that's not the first time we've done this. We've actually, I think we gave away this time 250 vouchers through Shoe Carnival. And I talked to Sean at the Shoe Carnival, the manager that I've worked with. He's been up there forever. I was sitting at Chick-fil-A yesterday with my granddaughter, and I realized that I'd never received an invoice from him. So I called him, and so they're going to be sending me an invoice. That'll probably be $4,000 or $5,000. But I think a couple years we did $10,000, $12,000 in shoe vouchers for kids, trying to target maybe kids that necessarily couldn't afford them. And we made it so that, there's no refunds. It has to be a school-age child getting the voucher. We didn't want any adults ending up with these vouchers or getting the money back for them. And then Sean was also able to, there was a discount for these as well. And he told me that the majority of the people that came in got a pair of shoes for free. So, yeah, so that's kind of what our foundation's about. But that's, to get back to the Guardian Cats, that's how the idea came about. And it was a no-brainer for our board. And I was hoping some of my board could be here tonight, but Deb Varner's out of town. Sean Bennett is also on the board. Dr. Timmy Piasik, Amelia Randolph, and Tanya Caden. That's who makes up our board. They've been long. We've been running this foundation for maybe 12 years, and they have all been on throughout the duration. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you've got any other.
Yeah, did you check with any of the helmet companies? Was there been somebody had said that some of the helmet companies would, they have like a policy, insurance policy on their helmet?
Mhm.
No, but if the kids wear the Guardian helmet, it null and voids the,
That's the first I've heard of that, yeah.
I'm trying to think, one helmet company that was, I guess, Russell, I think it was Russell Athletics said that if the wood Guardian helmet, you know, you got hurt or whatever, you know, within,
Yeah,
null and void.
Yeah, had not, that's the first I'd heard of that. I can tell you there's nothing out on their website, because I went through their whole website, and it's pretty impressive. There's a lot of studies out there that in the neurology field that participated in some of this stuff, and it was kind of interesting. But and we have received some feedback from Liberty. They said the kids loved them. So, you know.
Is this something that we're requiring now, or is it voluntary that our sports teams are going to do, football teams are going to do this? I mean, I thank you for what you guys have done and your board has done, but if this is going to be, I don't know that it should be required.
I
As
think
mandated.
I think it's so new that moving forward, it's certainly something that we can discuss with the coaches. I mean, at least for practice.
Yeah.
I like, if I had a son playing now, they'd be wearing one. I just think it's worth it. And the only reason why a kid wouldn't wear it is, you know, they want to look cool. So if everybody wears it.
If everybody's wearing them, that's right.
Then-
It takes that away.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I haven't heard from any of the other high schools, but I did see a picture, and I think the whole team had them on, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. So, but again, and as I said last week, and I didn't even think about this, but when I was reading their website, it's even talking about helmet blows to like knees or hips or shoulders, that it could actually lessen those blows to those joints and maybe prevent, you know, those types of injuries as well too. So, yeah, we were happy to do it, as I said. That'd be great if you guys required those for, as Jimmy said, at least for practice.
That might be something that we have to, I'm not big on mandating things, but, you know, when it comes down to the health and safety of our students, I'd rather err on the side of caution.
Yeah, we can meet with the athletic directors and they can get a feel for their coach. I'm sure that there's not any coaches that wouldn't want to use
And maybe-
Imagine an extra padding wouldn't be a good thing.
it. I think it's a great thing.
I can see adding to the shoulder pads at some point.
But you know, those shoulder pads have gotten smaller over the years. If you notice, go back and look 20 years ago, when, you know, even like WVU, their shoulder pads were, now it's like they're wearing nothing.
I could see that happening, though, adding that cap material to shoulder pads
Yeah,
and
yeah.
rib protectors.
And you know, if you guys do
Shoulder pads.
get any feedback from, you know, the high school team, I'd love to hear what, you know, what they think about.
Well, I just believe that if you went out on a limb and you bought all these, it ought to be up for debate, it ought to be mandatory that, we're in practice, that they, wear them.
Well, that's certainly the hope. Again, it can't hurt anything. It can't hurt anything.
That's right.
It's like wearing a knee brace, you know, you see all these offensive linemen wearing these knee braces, that's for protect, you know, it can't hurt at all. It can't hurt. And again, if we can just save one child, it's well worth it.
And then looks like we need to move down to the middle school at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's might be something maybe we can talk about going forward in the future, middle schools.
It's not even, it's not just the catastrophic injuries, even the mild,
Yeah.
very mild concussion.
Concussion.
That sometimes go undetected, that this could help prevent. And,
well, the kid that died in Boone County was in practice. He was in middle school and in practice. And so, there you have it.
Any other questions or comments or discussion? I appreciate you coming back. Thank you for what you're doing.
It's
I
no
appreciate
problem, happy to be here. Got here quick, didn't I?
it. Quick, thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks. I've got to run. Thank you all.
Thank you very
I
much.
think there's a couple counties outside waiting.
All right, brings us down to our next item, HISTA.
I have to set up my computer.
We got you.
Good evening. I want to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to talk about what I think is one of the most exciting and rewarding programs that we've been able to implement into our school system. And I'm talking about the Health, Science, and Technology Academy, better known as HISTA. It's a program that's been pretty popular in our area, in the region, for quite some time. But we've just been able to implement it in Harrison County since 2021. My name is Jim Griffin, and I served on the governing board for the HISTA program, and the governing board covers 3 counties: Harrison, Marion, and Monongalia County. There are 3 representatives from Harrison County that served on this board. I, Dr. Christy James, and Mrs. Teresa Yarborough, who works for the FBI. I have with us today Dan, who is the HISTA Program Specialist Field Representative, and he covers the 3 counties. And he's going to kind of give me an overview, a brief overview of what HISTA is all about and the progress that we've made in Harrison County since 2021. Dan.
Thank you all for seeing me today. I am very happy to talk about this for you. I'm very proud of this program. I'm proud of our students. So I have a nice little slide presentation here today. Next slide. HISTA stands for the Health, Science, and Technology Academy. And it's a one-of-a-kind program unique to West Virginia. There is no other program like this in the United States. We've been going on for 30 years, and we encourage students and help students get through high school and succeed in college. We have many mentors from teachers, community members, higher education faculty and staff, and the students themselves. This is a framework that helps and supports these students to succeed. Next. Our mission statement is HISTA increases the number of underrepresented students in West Virginia who pursue degrees in health sciences and STEM majors, thereby increasing the number of health practitioners and advocates in the medically undeserved communities of West Virginia. Next. A little introduction. We are run by a local governing board made up of members of the community. As Jim was saying earlier, our chair is Donna Johnson. She lives in Morgantown. Our co-chair is Jenny Bardwell, who also is a Morgantown member. And our members, Lydia Bailey, who is our parent member of our board, and she is in Fairmont. Leslie Crossley is in Morgantown. Seth DiBiase is a former student of ours who is in college now and has decided to join the board so he can pay it forward. And he's at WVU. Dr. Christy James, as Jim mentioned, is in Harrison County. Dr. Latoya Minton Frazier is in Morgantown. Teresa Yarborough is in Harrison County. And we also have to have a student representative on our board, and this year is River Bolliard from Fairmont Senior. Our director of HISTA is Dr. Catherine Morton. She has spoken to this board back in 2019, I believe, when this program started here. And our assistant director is Summer Kuhn, who is a HISTA alumni. She went through our program. She worked her way up through HISTA, starting as a mentor, then a teacher, then a field site coordinator, and a CRA, which is a community research associate, and now she's the assistant director. And she will be getting her PhD through HISTA in the next year or two. Our community research assistant, this is a person who helps the students do their research projects each year. And the one for our region is Chris Adkins. And then you have me, field site coordinator. And our HISTA teacher at our Robert C. Byrd is Mr. Garrett Wilkins. And he's been doing this for 2 years now with us. I personally recruited him, so I think he's doing a good job. Next slide, please. Okay, the governance of our structure of governance is we are governed by the communities we serve. Like I said, the local governing board runs the program. They make sure we meet our policies and procedures and we meet our goals. We are divided into 11 regions statewide, and you'll see them next slide, not yet, sorry. We currently encompass 27 counties in West Virginia. Our 11 regions are managed by local governing boards, all made up of local representatives, and they ensure the policies and procedures are met. Our local governing board consists wholly of volunteers, and they are all part of the community and part of the STEM plus M profession. Next slide, please. This is a map of West Virginia and the regions we cover and the counties we cover. We have 159 volunteer board members statewide, 75 teachers, 11 field site coordinators, 4 community research associates, 800 9th through 12th graders, 50 high schools we represent. And Harrison County, Robert C. Byrd is our latest school. We started in 2021. I am very happy to say we have our first seniors graduating this year. And I'm very proud of them. And one of the seniors is one of the smartest people I've ever met. So she's very good. I don't know how she does everything she does, but she is great. Next slide, please. Like I said, we have 800 students in the program, all 9th through 12th graders. 36% of them are underrepresented minorities. 63% are financially disadvantaged. 73% are first-generation college. 80% are female, and obviously 100% are rural, since the entire state is rural. Next. HISTA scholars are extremely high achieving. In our 30 years, we've graduated 3,500 students. 99% of our high school students graduate high school. That's compared to 56% of the general population. 85% of our kids who go to college graduate, and that's compared to less than 44% in the general population. 84% graduate with a 4-year degree or more. The others have associate degrees. 27% go on to achieve graduate and professional degrees, where only 6% of the general population does. The number I'm very proud of is 87% of our college graduates stay in West Virginia and pass it forward. This is very important. They're not required to stay in West Virginia through our program. We encourage them to, we would like them to, and most of them do. On average, our students earn $30,000 a year more than their parents did. That's a huge number. And our participating colleges and universities provide substantial tuition support through medical school and other advanced STEM programs. We will waive college tuition through medical school and through a PhD program. That would save a student $250,000 to $300,000 over a lifetime. Next slide, please. Eligibility for HISTA. Our application's open in December, and I start recruiting in December. I will go to all the feeder schools, all the middle schools for our high schools. It's open to U.S. citizens. They have to be a West Virginia resident. They have to have a 2.5 GPA or higher. They have to be, and this is important, they have to be on grade level. And they have to attend one of our HISTA high schools to be eligible. Now, the little asterisk there, it is a first come, first served when they apply. Our local governing board will see the applications in March. I sanitize them so there's no identifying records at all when they see it. They get a number, they get the grade point average, they get the criteria, and they get an essay. That's what our local governing board decides acceptance on. And we meet the first time in March. If we have enough applications, we will fill every vacancy in March. So like I said, it's a first come, first serve, even though the application is open till October 1st. Anybody who comes in after vacancies are filled, they will automatically be put on the waiting list, as long as they meet our criteria. The criteria for HISTA: underrepresented group, population, or community in West Virginia, low income, first generation student, and rural. Now, they don't have to meet all four of these. It's nice if they do. Somebody who meets all four criteria will go to the top of the list. If we don't have enough people to fill the vacancies with all four criteria, we move to 3 criteria, 2 criteria, and 1. And the criteria we follow is in that order. So the last person we will take is somebody who's just rural. It has happened in the past when we were having, especially during COVID, when we didn't have enough applications, we did fill some with just rural. Most regions require 2 or more of the criteria to be met to be even accepted. Our region is Harrison, Mon, and Marion. We do accept only 1 criteria. In the last 2 years, we have not had anybody that was their only criteria. This last year, people met 3 criteria at the least. Next, please. The HISTA waiver. When a student graduates from HISTA, they will receive a tuition waiver from participating in-state colleges and universities. Currently, we have 29 schools in West Virginia that provide waivers for our students. And it is up to the schools. We can't force schools to do this. The schools have to decide. WVU will give a waiver on any degree. Fairmont limits it to scientific and medical degrees only. Different schools limit it to what they decide. And with the more recent budget crunches, schools are limited even more. Although we try to convince them, or sometimes we can convince them to change a degree or not, it's a one-on-one basis. This is for 8 semesters of undergraduate school, so 4 years, and graduate school and professional school. Like I said, we have MDs, we have PhDs graduating. And I don't have a number of semesters for graduate professional because different degrees require different numbers of semesters. But we will see them through as long as they're getting the grades and, are progressing. Next, please. Once they are accepted, we have requirements for our students. They have to attend at least 70% of our meetings and events. They have to do 75 hours of community service over the 4 years they are in school. I encourage my freshmen to start early and not put it off to the senior year because the deadline is December 1st of their senior year. It's almost impossible to get 75 hours of community service in 3 months. I've done it, it's not pleasant. They have to maintain a 2.5 as a freshman, although I encourage all my freshmen to get a 3.0, because sophomores, juniors, and seniors are required to get a 3.0 each semester. They have to complete and present a research project every year. Every year we have a symposium. This year it's going to be May 3rd, most likely at Fairmont State. They will present to judges and whoever shows up to watch them. So this gives them a head start to college students. When our graduates go to college, they're ready to do research. I've taught at university. I've seen college students come in who can't even write an essay, let alone do a research project. Our students know how to write, they know how to do a research project day one. That's why we have such a success rate. And they must attend at least 2 HISTA summer camps. We run summer camps every year for freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior. They're freshman camps, sophomore camps, each has their own. Our freshman camp takes place before they even start their freshman year. We send them, this year we sent them to Potomac State. They get to meet their field site coordinators. We spend the whole week with them. They live in the dorms, they go to college classes, they eat in the college cafeteria, and they use the college facilities. This sets them up for an idea of what college is like, starting from day one. The studies they do are taught by college professors, so they meet college professors. It's not technically a college class, but they're learning about science. They learn physics, they learn mathematics, chemistry, biology. I've taught them myself. I've taught the physics course. We did egg drops, which the kids always love. They learn about force, momentum, engineering. I'm happy to say that 13 of my 16 eggs survived. We held a funeral for the last 3, I'm sorry. But the kids learn a lot. It's usually their first time away from home. And the first day, the first night, we always hear, I want to go home, I don't like this. But by the end, they're asking us to go another week. They don't want to go home. And we encourage our students to go every summer. Our sophomore camp takes place in Glenville, and it's a forensics camp. They learn how to do forensic sciences. We have one at West Virginia Tech, which is engineering. They learn all about engineering. They go to different engineering sites and see how it's done hands-on. Our junior and senior camp takes place at WVU, where they actually go into hospital settings, and they learn about nursing, they learn about lab work, they do hands-on. They follow nurses, they follow doctors. And our seniors do projects. This year, they did a water quality project. They went around to different water facilities, did testing. And they were paid to do this. If they complete their entire project, you get $900. But they have to do a presentation to the city councils about water quality, which is coming up this month and next. We're going to see if they do well. Next slide, please. HMM, Harrison, Mon, Marion, HISTA. We have 6 high schools, East Fairmont, Fairmont Senior, Morgantown, North Marion, Robert C. Byrd, and University. 70 students and 7 teachers. Next. We have graduated 238 schools of graduates since we started in this program. Our region started in 1999, 5 years after it was originally started. That's approximately 10 graduates a year. Currently, we have 36 undergraduate students and 6 grad students. We have 127 college graduates. That averages 5 per year. And most of our students, 57% attend WVU and 21% attend Fairmont State, with a few going elsewhere like Glenville State and stuff like that. HISTA at RCB, I have 10 students, 2 seniors, 2 juniors, 3 sophomores, and 3 freshmen. Like I said, I'm very happy to say this is the first seniors that we're going to graduate. The juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, I recruited myself, so I'm happy to see them go through. I start recruiting December in 8th grade. So I will be going to WI and Mountaineer Middle and talking to the students. Depending on the middle school, sometimes I just meet the science classes. Sometimes teachers just bring me to kids they think are interested in. I prefer to talk to the entire student body. WI lets me talk to the entire student body. They bring them all in the auditorium and I talk to them. I haven't been to Mountaineer Middle because they were linked with Liberty and that wasn't one of my schools. But since they're combining this year, I'm going to be doing both. And it opens up our field of candidates. Our teacher, Gary Wilkins, he's a great teacher. The students love him. He does all kinds of hands-on experiments with them, and that's what our teachers are there for, to help them learn about science and enjoy science. Instead of making it a task, it becomes pleasure. We provide all kinds of hands-on experiments. I provide all. I buy the equipment. I buy the resources. I provide them to the students. RCB gives us tremendous support. It wasn't always the case, but in the last 3 years, I've worked with Dr. Looker, who is fantastic. I went in and talked with her. We were having problems getting a teacher. I sat down with Dr. Looker. We talked about this stuff, and she has been on board since day one. She is unbelievable. Anything I need, I'll email her. She will answer me back within 5-10 minutes. I can't say enough about it. At WY, I have Allison Atchison, the counselor there. She will get all the students for me. If I need paperwork, when somebody signs up for us, she will make sure it gets to me. She has been wonderful. Mountaineer Middle, I don't know who the counselor there yet, so I need to make a contact there. If you know who it is, let me know. But I will be contacting them within the next month or two to get started with Mountaineer Middle. And I start recruiting soon. I am ready. I love talking to my students. Mountaineer Middle will be my 14th middle school. So I do a lot of traveling in the summer. That's it. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Why isn't it in all 5 schools?
It is a funding. Our funding comes through the legislature. It is administered through WVU. We get grants. We have lots of grants, and we have funding from the legislature, which, by the way, comes from the lottery. So I don't condone gambling, but if you're going to buy lottery tickets, it helps. It all comes down to funding. We only have so much funding that goes around. And with the 50 high schools, it costs us about $3 million a year. So I don't see any money coming from the legislature, more money coming from the legislature. So any extra money we get is from grants, and that goes into summer camps, that goes into resources that we provide. We have a long list of schools that want to join this. If you know of any schools that want to join us, we can put them on our waiting list. But almost every county we are in, there are extra schools that want to join. I mean, Clay Patel and we're in Mon has been on our waiting list since day one. Yeah. So if we had the money, I more than would love to have more students. Morgantown has 2 teachers, so they have 20 students. And that's because they found a way to get us the funding.
That was my question. Do counties offer additional support?
Some do, some can't. We welcome any funding we can get. Harrison County came from a grant originally. That grant ran out this year. And we took on RCB fully into HISTA through our funding loan.
How was Robert C. Byrd selected then as the school here in Harrison County?
Truthfully, I don't have the answer to that. There was a process, there was a grant that came up, and the board at that time worked with Dr. Morton. And it took 3 years. They started in 2019, and then COVID hit, and it kind of got put on a back burner. And then as soon as COVID stopped, 2021 hit, and we went full bore. But there was a grant through Harrison County somewhere, and I don't have all that information. I wasn't around at that time.
If you look at the type of student that you're looking for, and the underserved, and I think that the RCB met more of those qualifications than any other schools in the county.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. When we looked at all the schools in Harrison County, RCV met all our criteria.
Child of a family friend is one of your seniors, and it's life-changing.
Yeah, I love all my students. I mean, I'm old, okay? This is my third career, and it's gonna be my last, because I'm gonna do this until someday. Because I do, I love working with the students, I love teaching. And it's just, when I see the light go on, it just means everything. And when those students graduate and go on to college, and then when they graduate from college, we had a student this year graduate from Fairmont State in nursing. She was hired before she graduated. She's working on the neonatal unit at WVU, and she just bought her first house 2 weeks ago. That means that. Any other questions?
Do you think you could find out where that grant came from, or how we applied for it, or you applied for it? I mean, if it's out there, if it ran out, I mean, I'm assuming we could probably reapply for it next year.
It's,
Or you could, I mean, how does that, I don't know how that works.
it was through something to network, I can't remember the name of it.
Did you apply for it through HISTA, or did Harrison County apply for it?
It came through the grant agencies themselves.
Oh, okay.
They approached us
Okay.
through Harrison County. I do know that.
Is this something like where the Bridgeport students for ROTC go to RCV for those classes? Could we have students that qualify from another school and they come, or do they have to be at the school?
They have to attend the school.
Okay.
Because I have one student who was actually in Liberty, would have gone to Liberty. They transferred to RCB just to be in our program.
I'd like to find out more about the grant, what the grant was, how much it was for, and if there's a possibility we could help with, maybe at least apply for it. The company, or I'm sorry,
It's something to network. I don't know the first name. I can't remember. But yeah, if you can find the funding, I think we'd be more than willing to work with you. I mean, I can't speak for Dr. Morton, but she loves to have students. And she has been in HISPA since day one. A lot of our board has been in HISPA since the 90s. Johnson, who used to work for HISPA. Jenny Bardwell used to work for HISPA for 20 years. So people who are in HISPA usually stay with us. Like I said, one of our students came back to be on the board because they see what it is. And he's double major mechanical and aerospace engineering at WVU. He's going to be a rocket scientist.
Wow.
Yeah. But those are the kind of students we get. That's the kind of students we look for. Even the ones who don't do so good in 8th grade, they get in with us and they learn. Almost always they do better. Yeah, we have a few failures, but that's normal.
well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
As I said at the beginning, it's exciting and it's rewarding. And my only objection was, how come they waited so late to come to Harrison County? I don't know why, maybe, Make, yeah, this is a copy of
Dr. Griffin has handouts for everybody. I'm sorry they weren't there. I also provided a copy of my PowerPoint. Feel free to copy it.
I can make a copy for
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
everybody.
All right, next item is delegations. Delegations. All right, superintendent's update.
Sure, I have several things this evening. First of all, I wanted to do a couple shout outs. We had Jody Sperry call, and if you remember during COVID, there were a lot of things donated to us that, like cleaning supplies and things that were not, we were not able to use those in the schools because of certain ingredients and things, rules that we have, and they were at the warehouse. So she coordinated with the group to get them down south to share with the hurricane victims. So it was stuff that the school system, we did not purchase those. They were donated to us during that COVID time. So I appreciate Jody coordinating all that. I believe she worked with Richford City Council. They said yesterday they brought the trucks in. I believe it went down on those trucks. So I appreciate Jody doing that, and that actually opened up a warehouse. So had a lot of things in there. The other thing I'd like to say is I have been able to get out to some schools, and yesterday I visited with, I was at South Harrison High School, and we have a band director there that is not well, and he's going to be off for a long period of time. So just be thinking about him as Chris Broadwater. And Justin Setai is the music teacher there. He actually goes between Lost Creek and West Milford, so he's doing that job, and I spoke to him for a little while. He has stepped up and he's taken over the band at South Harrison High School. He was the assistant at the high school, so a shout out to Justin Setai, because he really is working hard to keep that band going, and so prayers out for Chris Broadwater and that. And while I was at South Harrison, I went down to the elementary school, and for parent conferences, they had tables set up and they were doing a game night, so they had parents in. While the parents were visiting with teachers, the kids were down with other staff members that did not have classrooms, and they were having games. It was the best thing. You just see so many great things when you go out to the school. So a shout out to Laura Trent and her staff, really, for working to put that together. So just thank you for that. Also, last week on Wednesday, I was invited to State Board was doing their meeting on Wednesday, and I received a phone call that I may want to watch or pay attention to the State Board meeting. Really didn't have any idea that they were doing the accountability measures on that State Board meeting. And immediately after that meeting, I did receive a phone call from the finance office in Charleston. He sent an email to follow up the next day. We did go off of Dean's Assistance for Finance, which was a phenomenal thing in the amount of time that we did it. So thank you to our finance staff and the people in that department for working hard to get us off of that. And I shared that letter there. And also in the report, if you've had a chance to look at that, I think it was sent to you, but it's just something to really share, and it's a testament to all the staff really in Harrison County and all the work that they do. I see the hard work when you go out to visit schools, just like yesterday, and watching what was happening there. That stuff doesn't just happen. Somebody has to organize that, set it up. But this accountability is really our accreditation for the year, and the first half of that is really our county operational effectiveness. And everybody sitting in this room, it involves them and all their staffs here at the county office, making sure that we're meeting all compliances and following a lot of rules. There's a lot of checklists. So thank you. If you look at the efficiency indicators for all the departments, I mean, it's personnel, special ed, transportation, it fits every department. And then the second half of the report is really a testament to our schools, and it's on the balanced scorecard. And there are always, you look at our scores and you think, wow, we really need to improve, and I know every principal looks at it, teachers look at it, and you heard from Mrs. Knight, things that we need to improve, but overall, the ballot scorecard and all indicators showed that we were making gains. So that took us off of any kind of on-watch support or intensive. Harrison County was one of 4 counties. I think it's a testament to everybody in the county. We were one of 4 counties in the state that had no indicators listed, and we had met all of the criteria to be fully accredited. So a shout out to the whole county and everybody that works in our schools every single day, everybody here in the county office. We just appreciate you so much, because it would not happen without everybody doing their part. So that was good news. The bad news that I did today is I certified our numbers, our enrollment numbers. And as you know, we're watching that closely, watching everything. I was hoping initially when I started collecting numbers, we do just preliminary checks, and we start watching those enrollment numbers. But today I hit the button and made that final tally, and we are down 343 kids. That is a huge, again, loss. I talked to Jim Kirby, we keep in touch, and it is really, I don't know whether you guys had the opportunity to see the article that was out. It's our Hope Scholarship kids, it's the homeschooling. We've got a lot of things competing against us. And as you know, this will help. You know, Harrison County Schools is a good school system. So anybody out there that's leaving to do other things, please consider public schools, because we're doing a good job with our kids. But that 343 student loss today was disappointing for us, but we're going to continue to operate and do what we can. It'll be a hit on our state aid formula again, but and I'll share that as we get that probably in November. We certify that list. They actually extended it this year and gave us a little more time. I think they were hoping we'd have a better count, I don't know. But we just certified that today, so I was expecting 250 and it was 343. So. Also, thank you to Pam and Shelley for their presentation tonight. They've been working hard getting information. And it's, once you get the information, you got to do something with it. And so there's been a lot of time spent working to put a plan together. So we hope we see some good results, especially in that secondary math. Let's see. What else do we have? Thank you for the HISTA group for coming. I think that's a great opportunity for our kids, and we appreciate everything that you're doing for us. And I've seen some of that action at Robert Seabird, and a shout out to Dr. Looker, I guess, for supporting that program so well. For facilities, we've got a lot going on. As you know, we put in a needs application. We've got a couple different visits from the SBA. We're waiting to hear from them, and we got officially notified that on November 18th, the school board president and I and Mr. Lefes will have to go down to Charleston to, the superintendent does a presentation. So officially presenting our case on the funding. So, and we're on the first day, whether it means anything or not. I'm going to say it's
almost
not.
going to be on the first day.
Yeah. So,
Going to be on the first day.
yeah, and we're in the middle of designing our secure entrances. We've got that meeting, I think that's November. Yeah, to do a page turn on those secure entrances that we were already funded for. And I think we're looking at, hopefully, with Mr. Schneider really moving those we have 3 other secure entrances after we get these finished that we're going to do in-house. And then we'll be finished with all of our buildings. So that's a big plus to get all those done. We've worked hard in the county to do a lot of those. There's really not a lot of cost to get a lot of those done. And I think, Mr. Lopez, you have an update on facilities and transportation.
Well, so our guys really have done a good job of transition. Chad Potts moving along. The guys are working hard for it. Catching up on a lot of work orders that we had gotten behind on. We've won a lot of large projects last year, and all hands on deck, so to speak. And with that department, we're trying to get caught back up. It's going to take a little while, a lot of little things, but they're moving along well. As far as transportation, I was going to talk about secure entrances, but the locations, we have to take a look at locations where we're going to put those. There's 3 of them. South Harrison is going to be a tricky one because of the traffic flow. There was thoughts about putting it back in a certain area. It's not going to work. I didn't think it would work. So we really have to go to plan A, B, and C. We're going to make it work. We just have to really think it out thoroughly. Bridgeport High School will be a little bit tricky, and I know that we need to really take a look at how we're going to move forward with that as well. And then the other one,
Bridgeport Middle.
yeah, Bridgeport Middle is going to be really simple. We can do that in-house, not a problem at all. I will shift gears to transportation. We do have a person on the agenda, substitute driver. We had 2 certified. This one was able to meet the timeline to get on the agenda, so we'll have another one. It's one of those things, if you want to send drivers our way, we're always trying to get them. But it's a happy medium there because they don't work every day. Now when we get busy and we have people that are sick, they do. But the more people that we get, the less that they work consistently, and they have to pay their bills. So they have to kind of take a look at that. So we always encourage them to stay, and most of them, the one thing that I tell them, and just so you all know, because we do run short from time to time, is I know you have to pay your bills, but if you just hang with us a little bit longer, you're going to have that full-time job, and you'll be happy. You're probably going to be kicking yourself if you don't. And I hear that same message from drivers time after time, the supervisors. So, but it's tough being a substitute and trying to make it through. So we're fortunate we've been able to fill all our bus runs, and we met with them yesterday, and things seem to be going well. But again, you talk to people at Lowe's or anywhere you're out, and they're looking for a job, and you can encourage them to call the transportation office. We'd be glad to show them around, talk with them. We're not dangerously low, but it only takes a few retirements here, possibly in the middle of the year, the end of the year, and we could be right back down to needing more drivers. Other than that, unless you have any questions. That's all. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Actually, talking about recruiting, we were at the Bridgeport City Council meeting last night, and I even asked the new city manager if his wife was a teacher. They were moving back to the area, so she wouldn't have to be a teacher. Just thought we'd throw that out there. So we kind of are just doing that everywhere we can to attract as many as we can. I think we have a UTC report.
Yes, we met the other day, and then the collision repair was recognized down there at iCar Academy, and the United Technical Center was recognized, and it was only 1 of 10 collision repair people that were recognized nationwide. 1 of 10 for the jobs that they do. These kids are going down there, doing a great job. And with the enrollment down there is still over 400. As of the meeting the other day, the count was 407 people. 407 was enrolled there. And so they built that tiny home last year. Everybody liked it and all that. So they put it up for sale, and Hope Gas came in and bought the tiny home that they built last year. And what they're going to do is they're going to put it up over near the Wonder Bar, and they're going to build like, I said, well, it's kind of like Dodge City, for a cowboy. They're going to put that house over there, and they're going to put some other little facilities in there so that they can set up their men to get their training and things of that nature there. So it's gonna be over there. And they've already, I think, come in and they've ordered another house. And so, you know, they may get into the house building business down there. But you're gonna try and pre-sale before they were starting. However, see whatever that they want, you know, in their facility that they buy. So, I thought it was good. And they had with the work around the fence and everything, they're still down to, the gate, and they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do in regard to the gate, if they're gonna be able to come up with the money to go ahead and get a new gate, or if they may have to put that off when the spring when the budget season rolls around again, in regard to putting a gate that matches the fencing and all that they put all the way around the career center, the new black fencing. And they hired Omni as their architect. They're going after a loan SBA project for 25. So Omni in there, help them with that. And they wanted to add, their skills program is growing so rapidly, and so many kids are getting involved and getting recognized that they now have a need for a second Skills USA advisor. So they're looking to, they put it out for bid, and it's a position that pays $2,500 additional. So whoever takes the job will do that. But they said they really need this position. And other than that, I think that's pretty much is everything.
About the traffic,
Traffic,
patterns going around different.
they're studying on that, and he's looking at, and he thinks that there's a possibility to figure out a way to reroute them around there. Reroute traffic pattern flow.
He said that he'd do whatever we needed.
Yeah, whatever we need to
Yeah,
get.
he's working on that. Definitely. It was
To form a committee and study.
Yeah, works my favorite principle, committee and study, but I think it'll happen pretty quick, because it may not happen this month, because he was taking a vacation. So we'll keep boosting.
Are those tiny houses all electric?
That part I can't answer.
I was just a little humorous since
I know.
gas company bought it.
Yeah. It's kind of like the ceiling is over my head.
Yeah.
But the only other thing that you have is Pam Hoffman gave us her annual update for her. Coach can't say enough about her. So this was just our annual report. So if you have that, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next item, consent items. Is there a motion to approve consent items?
I move to approve consent items.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. New business, out-of-state professional leave request and out-of-state travel study request. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the request.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Memorandum of Understanding between Pierpont Community and Technical College in Harrison County for the Dual Credit Pathway Agreement. Is there a motion of acceptance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. I'd like to flip-flop C and D and take that first. If there's no objection, we'll go with letter D. Recommend the issuance of purchase orders to Exergame Blue System for Social Emotional Learning Systems.
Make a motion, we approve the purchase order.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can someone explain what it is?
Yes.
I'm thinking we might need it.
Would you like to speak to that, Julie, because you've worked with the two schools?
Yes, it's, and this is Project Aware ones. And the report. It's an interactive indoor playground that has math and reading games to it. So it's, like, I relate it to like the old Dance Revolution or the Wii on the wall that has math things that they're throwing balls at, they'll say 3 times 3, they're throwing the ball at 9. And it's movable. We have one, I learned today at Northview, that will need to be moved to down in the middle that is not movable, so it's a whole bigger problem. But it is an interactive learning thing that they can use anywhere, gym, cafeteria, wherever you move it.
I think Danielle purchased one of the first ones that they had.
And I don't think
Now
they
they're
have-
mobile, and I saw the one that Vic was
Mr. Grimes has it, yeah, in the gym.
Maybe you.
It was, been using federal guidelines and federal grants that are approved for purchase.
How many schools will this be going to for $112,000?
Well, Project Aware will buy it for Victory, WI, and then we have CSI money for another 4. Is there another one?
Another
Yeah,
work.
another 4 is improvement money. We did that through the math piece for them, because they need help with math scores. We'll try to do something. We were looking, you can only buy so many things. And it was something that we could do, the kids would like, and maybe we use. Utilize, even recess, indoor recess.
With weather changing, I think it's gonna be a little tough for them to go outside on the playground.
Well, it's Victory anyway.
Right, no,
It's the end of the month,
It's slow
the
as
end of
thunder.
this month. That's what we were told.
Yeah,
That's what they
I've heard
said.
that.
That's all, the completion.
We're gonna start the one over at Mountaineer.
Now.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the building out.
No, but we can get an update on that, from our next meeting. I'd like to see where that's gonna be.
We need that.
Yes, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I want to say that employee workplace climate study, there's a packet in front of you. This is a discussion, there's no action on this. I think that the packet and the finances that are the money that are associated with each package, each option speaks for itself. I will say, the one thing that I want to bring up is I want everyone to think about the outcome. What is it that we want to do with this information if we proceed forward with it? How do you want to utilize it? How does it need to be addressed? And is there anything that can come forward that we would need to look at before we discuss anything like that?
Can I say, I think previously we received a folder, we did not recopy those. So I have those if you need those. We've actually talked to 5 different companies, they're all geared to K-12. And David and I have really worked on it. I think that we just don't know, we gave them the scope of the, what was my goal, was what was sent to the company. And so they've all come back and the prices have just been all over. So we'll have to put it out to bid. That's where we are. So it's a matter of what do you want that scope of work to be? Do you still want to, a lot of them prefer doing a fall survey and a spring survey. Well, that adds cost. Some of them will do in-house focus groups, and that brings in a team, which adds cost. Some of them will do focus groups online. Like they'll send a login, they'll randomly select, 12 teachers across the county and do a focus group that way. So they all offer different things. I did reach out to you have the one there from Edwards. he did not at the time want to give us a cost. He said until we kind of penciled, and he said it's a lot of work. There's really two men that run that one. Am I correct, David?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a researcher and then there's Dr. Edwards. Dr. Edwards, after I got online with him, I knew him from in 2001 and 2. He did all the educational leadership things across West Virginia for the Department of Ed. And I went to a week-long, it was my first year as a principal, sent me down, and so he has been in the business a long time. He's done a lot of different types of things. So I guess the question is we put it out to bid, do we want the scope of the work to hold all of these things? Because the bid will have to be specific on what we're wanting. And are you interested in one survey or a follow-up survey in the spring? There's like a baseline and a follow-up. I think that's where David and I were at. There's so many different things that come out of this.
What is it that we want out of the survey or want the survey to address?
I think, because another goal is the 5-year strategic plan. So basically hoping the information that's gathered from that will also be able to be useful as information to develop that strategic plan as to where we need to go and head as a county. So that was what I got
From a scope of work, right? We're not going to, as a board, come up with the questions.
No.
We're not going to come up with what it is we want them to look at. We're not going to these are the companies that do the work.
Right.
If that's something that would be chosen by the board, we would have to give them the authority to do the survey. What I will say is somebody reached out the other day and asked how legitimate it would be to use public funds for this type of thing. So I would like to get a opinion from our council, if possible, to see what we can and cannot do in that case for these types of surveys. But I wanted to bring that up before we went further down the road.
I think that'd be easy to research.
Yeah.
Realistically. If it's taken 2 surveys in 1 year, I don't think that, to me, I think you'd have one in the fall and you'd want to look at it the following year, not in the same year. That would give an opportunity for the folks that are in the county office to, if they received that survey and said, hey, there's some areas that we need to work at with our employees, and not give it just a few months to work on it, but reach out into the next year also. That's kind of limiting. I think that's just what I feel anyway. I think 2 in 1 year's kind of overcooking it a little bit, not giving it the first survey an opportunity, the first one that you do for any corrections.
Well, I think that's what the second survey would be for, would be to gauge the corrections that were made from the
If
first
it
one.
would be in the same year, so in only a few months apart.
A lot of them offer things after, so are we interested in that?
all the professional developments.
PD, even he said from the, like the focus groups, they'll get ideas, and one company, they go in and they'll go school by school by school. Well, then you're talking, it just depends on how much you're interested in spending on, or whether we're just wanting to survey, get information.
I think it should be a continuous thing.
That's what I was gonna say. How do you know what kind of PD, or if we need PD, if we don't know what they have to say first? Before we add the PD piece. I mean, if there's an option to add the PD piece, fine, but, or whatever else, that's fine too, but right up front, initially, no, I don't think, how do we know we need it? We might not need it.
And the PD may be such that we can do it in-house.
Yeah.
Most of it's based on culture. They offer all the sessions on culture.
Yeah, I don't think it should be limited to just county office. I think that it should be countywide.
Yes.
But that's a big undertaking, and I don't know cost-wise what that would be.
There's one.
Well, I think it would also depend on whether, like you said, go school by school or do a focus group, a smattering of individuals from all over the county.
Yeah, I wouldn't see a focus group in every single school.
They randomly select.
Yes.
David, do you have any comments? Because you listened to all these with us.
Uh,
They do a random, they do all different
Yeah.
types.
Yeah, there's the scope.
Sky's the limit if you wanted to.
The scope in front of you ranges from one survey that went out one time to a multi-year project. It goes from, most of the companies that we spoke to want to go into every single school. That's one of the things that they talked about, really getting in and going for the schools. They're all willing to come and present the data to you all, and then move forward from there. They're all very reputable companies. I was impressed with every single one of them. With the scope of their work, I think it, could be very useful especially the ones that are willing to come in and offer their professional development with us.
I think instead of could be, it needs to be for the amount of money.
Well, it's what we do afterwards, right? It's how we take that information, how we share that information with our constituents, with the public, and with everything, and the plan moving forward. I think that we could really benefit from, and I think it would be up to us to benefit from that.
Well, and looking at the big picture, it's not just the 5-year strategic plan, but if we can improve in any way, we can attract people to Harrison County.
Sure.
And we could attract students that live here, maybe from wherever they're getting their education now back to the school. So, and it's always painful taking a look at yourself. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes to hear anything negative, but you just suck it up, Buttercup, and move on and deal with it and do better.
And keep the ones we have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I've been on the board a long time, like you all went to school in this county for years, and, we all got a good education. We all did very well, and I don't remember surveys being taken all those years down the road. I think that, graduation rates and performance and where the kids go after they graduate from Harrison County schools, kind of speaks for itself. And, I know times have changed some, but I think that, when you're talking about taxpayer dollars, every company, they can give you all these beautiful, ideas that, we can do this for you, we can do this for you. First thing you know, but when they go do all this, all the glitters is not gold, and it's gonna be a lot of money that you're gonna ask for to do all this for us. And when it comes out the other end, we may find out that, maybe we didn't need that survey as bad as we think we do right now.
Unless
You know,
until you
I
have
mean-
hard data to make decisions.
I think it's, it goes back to the old adage, use the KISS method. You gotta keep it simple, stupid.
Hey,
And-
I got a question. How do we say that?
Let's keep it
So,
simple, sweet.
so that's why I say,
Simple.
you can add all the bells and whistles and everything to a survey, doesn't mean that it's gonna come out any prettier or whatever. I think the more basic, if we end up going with a survey, I'm not myself personally, I'm not too much in favor of, putting money out, to have a survey. I think you just look at what our kids are doing, where our kids are going, and how well they are performing. Because like I said, every kid, doesn't achieve at the same level. But if you work with the majority and programs we already have in place for these children to bring them up the ladder and get them to come higher up the ladder, I think it speaks more volumes than all the surveys in the world that you could put out.
But this survey is not aimed at student achievement. This survey is aimed at how well are the adults doing? Because we serve the kids, and the best way to help students is to have the strongest adult staff that we can have. And that involves taking a hard look.
Well, I mean, the staff, you attract the staff that you attract, on your county, I mean, you look at Harrison County compared to a more rural county such as Calhoun or something like that there, would you want to go teach school in Calhoun County, not being disrespectful, or do you want to go to a county like Harrison that has things going on and you have so many companies and businesses that are going on that are hiring in the hospitals? I mean, there's hospitals everywhere. So those are the kind of things that, that we need to incorporate into our schools and through our career center and everything else. These kids have every opportunity. And I think that, our kids in Harrison County have been given a lot of great opportunities. But bottom line is, you gotta wanna do it, and your teachers have to boost the programs that we have. So, like I said, I just don't know whether, doing one of these big surveys and, then when you get it back,
Well, if you look at very successful organizations, they do that.
What I would suggest at this point is that, two things. We invite the companies to come and present, to see what it is that they suggest or offer or whatever.
Well, I think we need to look at the list first and see what we want to keep and what we can eliminate.
We can bring that up. Yeah. And then the second thing would be find out the opinion of, from council.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
it goes along with what I just said, I feel anyway. We have to go through this and pick and choose, listen to presentations, and that's why you wouldn't want to do 2 of these in 1 year, because you're only a few months apart. You have to give those involved, which basically are the employees in particular, an opportunity to do corrections are needed, and our folks here at the county office to be able to work that. We're not looking for outside people to come and tell us what we need to do, but the folks that are in the county office to have an idea of what's going on out there that needs correcting. Because you can go into a school and they're not going to tell you, a student or a teacher's not going to tell you, custodian more than likely is not going to tell you. But if they have an opportunity to do a survey, you're going to get that information and a whole lot truer, I feel. I know I went through probably a couple surveys during my teaching career that we did from this.
Yeah, I think that in order for us to kind of know what we want, we have to see what it is that they are going to offer.
The end result.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I think
if
I
that's
just got
something we want to
overwhelmed
go with.
with all
what
the
we
things
want,
that
so.
they can do.
Maybe-
Yeah,
Maybe invite them,
When you talk to
and I'm in favor of research. I'm a trained researcher, so it's okay.
invite them to come and present and then determine to go out and put it out for bid. I mean, I don't know, what do you?
I don't
What is the
think we
will?
want to hear it all on the same night either. I mean, because you just get smothered.
I will say that, we can invite them to come back. They've already presented. What their presentations are the information that you have.
Okay.
I would suggest that we narrow the scope, so that we can tailor that, and that's what we put out to bid. And then the companies would submit that bid based on the scope, and then I could present that to you all, or Jill, or whoever the heck does it, could present that to you, then you choose.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, David will be the one providing them, there's a lot of information we have to give them, like all of their addresses. Setting all that up, and it's going to be going through.
So can we set then on our next meeting discussion to set our scope? We want to set our scope for that next meeting specifically. Is that acceptable?
I can give you all any information that you need, just let me know.
And you can just email it.
I'll just shoot it to you guys.
Save some trees.
Any other discussion, comments, questions?
The, paper, the door that you have there, who's gonna whittle wall that down? Is that gonna be you?
We are,
Is that gonna be David?
we are. That's our job.
What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean.
You're limiting the criteria.
On,
All the goals.
yeah,
Yes, good.
yeah, we just need a concise scope, so if we do go out to bid, everybody's established that.
Yeah, but we have to determine what it is we want.
In a time frame.
In a time frame.
That's the big one. What's our time frame?
All right, thank you. Next, we have personnel, that I would like to change personnel for legal first with the legal and disciplinary matters. If there are no objections, move legal and disciplinary matters first, and we'll go to personnel. Is there a motion to accept superintendent's recommendation of suspension for employee as presented? And if somebody would like to go to executive session to discuss it, the specific one, then they would need to set up a motion.
I move to accept it.
Is there a second? Is there any questions?
Second.
Are there any discussions? Okay. If there are no discussions, the superintendent recommends a one-day unpaid suspension for Heather Clifton, teacher at Nutter Fort Intermediate. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Brings us down to personnel matters.
I move pursuant to 6-9A-42 of West Virginia Code that the board go into executive session to discuss personnel and personnel matters which, if discussed in public, might affect adversely the reputation of any person.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion carries. I believe that leaves us with our personnel agenda. Is there a motion to accept the personnel agenda as presented?
I so move. Second.
Is there any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. At this time, is there anyone that, would everyone be okay with foregoing board member comments?
Yes, that's fine.
I just have one comment, knowing that three of us have to be at another meeting at 7:00. That's why we're kind of short notice.
Yes, and
Now.
And I will say, to expand on that, that it is regarding levy and levy information to municipalities. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all right, got everybody. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Get all that, Caitlin?